This episode is brought to you by Audible. Audible is the leading source of audiobooks in the world. From bestsellers like Harry Potter to The Martian, or to the Heir to the Empire series by Timothy Zahn, a must-read for any Star Wars fan. And even books by some of the most well-known geeks in the world, like You're Never Weird on the Internet by Felicia Day, or you can listen to Ready Player One read by Will Wheaton, or you can even listen to Tim Ferriss read The 4-Hour Workweek and The 4-Hour Body. With over 180,000 titles to choose from and thousands more on the way, Audible is the go-to source for audiobooks. You can download them on your iPhone, iPad, Android device, and even Windows phones, as well as listen on your laptop. For a 30-day free trial of Audible, which gives you an instant +3 to intelligence, head over to www.audibletrial.com/sidequest and start your free trial today. Again, for a +3 to intelligence, head over to www.audibletrial.com/sidequest. All right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of SideQuest Podcast. I have a fantastic guest for you today. She's a very good friend of mine that I know in the fitness industry, a lovely, lovely lady. But before I get to introducing her and the show, let's get into the house items. If you're not following me on Twitter, check me out at SideQuest FM. Head over as well to Instagram, and you can follow me at the same handle, SideQuest FM. Or head over to Facebook and search for SideQuest Fitness, like the page there, and you can check out all of the cool articles that I put up, the shenanigans I get into. Throwback Thursday, I talk about game soundtracks or cool songs that I loved growing up, or video games or movies. So I throw it back and we chat about things we enjoyed. So check out Facebook as well. Also, check me out on Snapchat. You can follow me at Robbie Farlow, ROBBIE FARLOW. Find me there, follow me on Snapchat, or head to Twitter. My snap code is in the Twitter profile picture, so you can just snap that, start following me and all the shenanigans on Snapchat. And head over to sidequestfitness.com for all of the show notes as well for every single podcast episode that I've had out. While you're there, enjoy the articles and all of the stuff that I have posted. A brand new website is in the works. I'm working on it. It looks really cool. It's going to get going. While you're there, don't forget to download my free Health Point Nutrition Guideline, a calorie-free system that you can use without having to worry about counting calories or using a tracker or anything like that. So head over there, grab that free Health Point Nutrition Guideline. I also have another ebook that will teach you how to unlock your hero, and I have something really special coming in the works when the new website comes up. So get all that over at sidequestfitness.com. And while you're there, if you are looking for a fitness experience, if you have struggled to lose weight, gain muscle, and build the heroic superhero body that you've always wanted, apply for coaching over there and let me coach you as you get ready for the summer or whatever your goal, your fitness quest may be. I've turned fitness into a game. I have made it fun, exciting, and you will enjoy what my clients are enjoying every single day. It's fitness for a new generation, a generation that is tired of hitting the reset button on their goals. If you want to conquer your fat loss nemesis or your muscle gaining nemesis, check out sidequestfitness.com and apply on the online coaching page. My guest on the podcast today is my good friend Susan Ogilvie. She is a personal trainer and fitness enthusiast who lives in Brighton, Michigan. Her mission is to empower you with the knowledge and ability to reach your goals through fitness, nutrition, and healthy lifestyle choices. Susan is a good friend of mine. I'm really glad I finally got her on the show, but I don't want to take up any more of your time. So let's get into the show and listen to Susan Ogilvie from SoFitWellness.com.
Sorry in advance. I know you really must be hitting the bottom of the barrel in terms of guests you've asked to be on here, but...
Well, welcome to the show, guys. Susan just got that one. All right. Welcome to a brand new episode of SideQuest Podcast. My guest and I have been chatting beforehand, before we got on. So we've been cutting up a little bit. So you get entered to this episode with some laughter. I have a great guest for you today. She's a very close friend of mine that I have had the honor of getting to know over the last few months. She is a personal trainer in the great state of Michigan in the United States of America. And she also works online as well. But she's great with habits and motivation. And when I need motivation, I usually just like reach out to her. She says something and I shut up and go do it. But I want to welcome to the podcast Susan Ogilvie. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Ogilvie.
Ogilvie.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I thought when I got married I would get a better name, but I didn't. That wasn't part of the deal.
What was your maiden name if it wasn't as good?
It was Yocky, which, if you were a kid, like, you know, Yucky was a very common variant of that last name. So, yeah. So I thought Ogilvie was better, but it's not.
Was it spelled with a soft J?
No, but that is a really common way to spell it, right?
Right.
Pennsylvania Dutch way, but mine was Y-A-U-K-E-Y. Yeah.
Y-A-U-K-E-Y. E-Y?
Right, which is the way that no other people who have Yaki as the last name spell it, so.
So basically someone in the Yaki family was like, I hate this family. I'm gonna mess them up by misspelling the last name, and then someday they'll be like, oh, Yaki and Yaki got married, but it's two different last names. Ha ha ha.
Sure, it was something like that.
Well, Susan, welcome to the podcast. For those
Thank you.
Who are listening who probably don't know anything about Susan Ogilvie, tell us how you got into the world of fitness.
Okay. Well, a way long time ago, you know, because I'm really old.
You were not that old.
When did I get into the world of fitness? Well, I grew up being a very fit person. I come from a family of swimmers, and I played water polo in college. And so I was always in a real structured training environment from probably about 8 years old onward until I left college. And when I left college, I was like, woohoo, we don't have any more structure. So I ate a lot, and I drank a lot, and I worked a lot, and I probably gained about, 60, 70 pounds. And then I had my 2 kids, and I really just decided, you know, through all that time I was a teacher. I have my master's degree in adult training and education, but pretty much I got that for workforce development. And once I had my second kid, I said, you know what, I really don't want to always sit on the park bench and not play with them and not, you know, climb through the tunnels or, you know, get down on the ground because I'm out of breath or I'm too big or something like that. And so I started losing weight. I mean, I kind of had always been on a diet for like 8 years before that. On a diet, off a diet, on a diet, off a diet. And yeah, so I enlisted the help of a personal trainer. I had a couple good friends helping me, and I lost a lot of weight, and I hated my job. So I said, hey, I'm going to take this other job, and I became a personal trainer kind of on the side, doing some group fitness. And then from there, once I moved away from Colorado and I moved to Michigan about 3 years ago, I just did personal training full time, and I've been there ever since.
Awesome.
That was the long answer.
What,
Sorry.
why are you apologizing? That's like, I asked you to like, how did you get here? That would be a lot better than like TLDR. I was fat, now I'm skinny, and I'm here. Like, what? No, I want to know the stories.
Right.
You know, I've been thinking, and was writing something about, or thinking, I don't know, I was thinking about like where I was in the past and like who people, like now when people see me, they're like, oh my God, like it's like who I was in the past is not standing in front of them. So they're sort of surprised. But I haven't really changed. I'm still me. I just have more muscle and more muscle.
Sure. I think that but do you ever look in the mirror yourself and go, who is that person?
I did in the past because, I did in the past. You know what? I think that was one of the first things when I got on the scale one day and the scale said like 212. And for me, I always thought I was under 200 pounds. And I was like, if I'm under 200 pounds, like, I'm good. Like, if I get over 200 pounds, then I need to do something. And seeing that I was there sort of like freaked me out. And then it was like a domino effect. Like, I saw that number, and then I saw the stretch marks, and then I saw the skin hanging over my underwear. And then like it all just like coalesced at one time. And I was like, I don't even know who I'm looking at in the mirror, because who I was looking, like who I thought I was in my mind, who I visualized myself as being, was not the same person looking back at me. And I think we all sort of, I think at some point many people go through that. You know, some people, it comes down to a health thing, like you do this or you die. You know, or for you, you know, you said you had your kids and you were like, I want to be able to play with my kids. I don't want to suffer through that. You know, maybe mine, because I was still in my 20s and I was like, yeah, I gotta like get girls, and I gotta look good, and I gotta feel better. Right. You know, maybe mine is more vain than, you know, doing it for my kids. Now that's a little different. I don't have kids, just in case anyone's wondering. I don't. No, I'm terrified. My listeners know that like children terrify me.
People are terrified.
Like, I'm terrified. Like, no, I'd rather get in a cage full of sharks than it's terrified. But no, I like hearing those stories, and it's interesting to hear yours, that, you know, you were active and did things and then kind of let yourself go. Because I think a lot of us did that. We were active, or some people are active and then let themselves go and come back to it later. Do you remember the moment when, were you playing with your kids? Were you sort of like, what moment really went, you know what, no, this is it. I've got to do something.
I don't know that I really had like a, oh shoot, is my
No, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know that I really had like a moment, you know, like a rock bottom moment or anything like that. You know, truthfully, even though I was active all those years, I was a big kid, like as a kid. And even in high school, you know, we'd taper down for swimming, and they'd be like, okay, like you got to watch what you eat and all that stuff. With water polo, it was a little easier because the bigger you were, the better it was, really. There was not, you know, it wasn't like I had to try to make weight or anything like that. So I've always been on the bigger side, but I'm not, there wasn't a moment, because truthfully, there were lots of moments. There were 100 moments where I started, today is day one, today we're doing it again, you know, throughout that decade that I was overweight. And, you know, finally I think I got to a point in my life where I actually had just like a lot of stability. You know, I had a really predictable schedule. My kids, we were managing that pretty well. I'm not saying that's easy, but there wasn't a lot of turbulence going on. There wasn't a lot of drama. And I said, I think I have time in my life to kind of carve out for making myself better. And everything that happened after that was just kind of luck of the draw. And you know, I had a great trainer and I had great friends, and so that was a good thing. But really, I mean, I often tell people, like, if you don't think you have time in your life for like kind of a part-time job or a volunteer position, then you probably don't have time in your life to try and really reflect on making these changes, right? We always talk about as professionals, like, oh, you can make time for this in your busy life. But I think there's a little bit, for me at least, there was a little bit of soul searching to be done, and a little bit of like, how do I integrate all these new behaviors into my life? And I needed time and space to do that. And so that really actually was what happened. I
actually think that's a really good point, that it takes some soul searching. You know, sort of going back to my little story. You know, I thought I was okay. You know, like, I'm not, I mean, I don't look like, the idea of what I thought was 200 pounds, what I thought was over 200 pounds wasn't how I saw myself. And then something reflected that, and it was like, oh crap. Well, there's my world getting shattered. You know, so then it did take some sort of soul searching. And that took a few more weeks. And I think we still, but I think we continue to do that as we develop, you know, even as you get more fit, you're continuing to sort of figure out like, well, okay, now I enjoy doing bro things. Am I like really a bro? But I'm still like that's my big that's just I don't listen. I'm multifaceted. There's a lot of personalities I feel stuffed inside of this person, but you know they come out in multiple different ways. But I think that many people do need that soul searching, and we do talk a lot about making time, and I can be victim of that at times. You know, I will talk about, well, break it up. You know, you got a 20-minute workout, do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch, 5 minutes at dinner, 5 minutes before you go to bed. There, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it sounds so much easier, but you know, in today's world, we're so inundated with stimulation. That's the word I'm looking for. You know, we're constantly stimulated, and our brains can't really focus on one thing. So to add something else in that we can't focus on that could take a lot of focus, our brain's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the soul searching is something that has to be done. But how do you, if you're in the middle of that soul searching, or if you haven't started that, how do you help someone? Is it just maybe you're right that maybe they do have time, but right now just isn't the time? Like, how do you get someone to start that soul searching journey?
I mean, you know, you talk about your stages of readiness and how people move, you know, for behavior change, and people move, you know, back and forth in those stages. And, you know, you can be at that stage where you want to actually change it. You know, you've got like your pre-contemplation and your contemplation, and then your actions. You know, there's a couple other stages in there. There's like 7 of them, right? And you know, I think as a trainer, I've gotten pretty good at trying to see, you know, get a feel for, in my initial conversations with clients or potential clients, where they're at, right? And I always just want to help them where they're at. And that may actually end up being that they decide down the line that they're not ready for this, right? And not ready for me or whatever, that they're not ready to look at what's going on, right? And so I'm just always kind of reflecting back to them what they're saying, helping them by asking, you know, open questions and things like that, so that they can, for themselves, see where they're at. Because, you know, you can help somebody who's busy if that person is really ready and they just need actionable steps, right? They're already motivated. And Josh Hillis yesterday wrote a great article about what comes first, like motivation or action, and how action creates motivation. And so that's really what I do as a trainer, is I just give them action. Like, well, what do you think would help you best? And they come up with an idea, and then we figure out a cue. You know, you were talking about 20 minutes in your day. I was just on the phone with a client, and I was like, she's like, well, I'm going to get up with my husband. Instead of sleeping in, I'm going to get up with him. And I'm like, that's a great cue, because he gets up at the same exact time every day. And if you get up at that time and you just start working out, you have 20 or 30 minutes to do that. So I always try to piggyback off things that are already going on in their life, if they're busy or if they've got a lot of, you know, stuff going on. But really, for clients, I meet them where they're at, and it's no sweat off my back if you decide, you know what, I'm just not ready for this. Like, I'm not ready to look at these things. Because for me personally, I spent probably 8 to 10 years going, I'm not ready to look at this. I'm not ready to look at myself in the mirror. I'm not ready to, you know, look at the scale and things like that. So I get it. Like, it's not easy to do, and it's not easy to face like some of the things that come with that. It's not just about that I'm putting in more calories than I'm burning. It's about all this other crap that I'm wearing. For me personally, it was about wearing all that weight to protect myself. And why was I doing that? You know?
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I like that. I guess I like that imagery is because you're listening to a podcast and you kind of have to think about it. But
I was an English teacher, by the way.
but you're wearing that weight to protect yourself. Why? What do you mean by that?
For me personally, the weight for me protected me from having attention drawn to me in a way that I didn't want to have drawn to me. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a little.
But what about that attention being drawn to you made you fear it, or the attention you thought, because you could have had this thought of the attention you would garner. So what about that? Kept you in fear and kept you from.
Yeah. So I had a situation during college that was kind of traumatic, and that's about all I'll say about that. But I just wanted to kind of be in the shadows. Like, I didn't want people to notice me. And I think that, this is obviously, this is kind of my own theory, is that, part of me keeping the weight on was feeling safe with that weight around me, right? Because I wasn't going to get the kind of attention that I didn't want. I don't know. I'm not explaining it well, am I?
No. I see where you're going, because I I guess as maybe as a man, you would think that I would know what you're talking about, or but I do. I do, because I think guys even get that as well. I think sometimes we want to be looked at a certain way, but then when we kind of get looked at that certain way, we're like, wait, that feels weird.
Sure.
But I think I know where you're coming from, and I guess it's an interesting concept to think about, because there are many things, and it doesn't have to be weight that we carry around and wear to sort of protect ourselves in life. So I just thought that was an interesting way for you to say it, because I do wonder how many people have something that they know is hurting them in some way, but they continue to do it because it protects them from something. And is that protection from an actual threat, or like a imagined perceived threat that could actually not even be, could never happen?
Right. And there's so many reasons. And like I said, I'm not a psychoanalyst. Like, I don't have, I have pretty cursory training in psychology, because I had to take psychology like a bazillion times to be a teacher. But no, just kidding. But just kept coming back up. But there's lots of reasons why, you never, when we say like you never know, like you've never walked in people's shoes, you don't know anything about that person. It's not just, I can't assume because somebody is drinking a Pepsi that, like whatever I'm going to assume about them, okay, you drink lots of soda, so that must be why you're overweight.
Right. Like that people assume that if you're obese, you're stupid. That people think if you're, right. Isn't that sort of the assumption that if the more overweight you are, the less educated you are, the less knowledgeable, less knowledge you have? Sure.
And that couldn't be farther. We just don't know. It couldn't be farther from the truth, really. Yeah. I read a bazillion diet books in my 20s. Like, whatever there were that came out. Atkins, Eat Right for Your Blood Type, South Beach. I read them all. And I tried to educate myself about it, and I wasn't ready. And so that's, for me, I'm always about, with my clients, making progress where they're at. And if that means you're going to get a 20-minute workout in because you wake up with your husband in the morning instead, if you do that Monday through Friday, that's 100 more minutes of exercise than you had last week.
Yeah.
Or, maybe you only do it 3 days this week, and that's still an hour more, and that's progress.
Yeah.
And progress is more important than making some kind of like dramatic statement like, whatever. Now I'm going to eat this, and I'm only going to eat, exercise this way, and that and that.
Yeah, I think the progress thing, it's getting better every day. Doing something just a little bit more every day will get you closer to the goal than just standing at the start line and never taking a step. But I guess I'm really fascinated by this this line of thought that we sort of started. Because you think about.
Well, think about if someone is like, kind of standoffish or really, seems kind of rude. It's that same kind of safety mechanism.
Right. Do you think that? Do you think that in some ways, and just, I mean, at least and I'll base this off of your story, that maybe it's not, because I know a lot of times in the fitness industry, we talk a lot about, do this, create this habit, do that, do this with exercise. This is how to do it. You can eat this way, but maybe really for some people, it's more, they need to get the mental thing. Like, is it a mental health thing that maybe we're missing that portion? And yeah, you can do habits and you can do all of that, but if there is something that's affected you years ago and we're not, and like you put defenses up to protect yourself from it, do we need to get past that first? Just sort of going with where we've been moving so far. I don't know. It's just, I'm really interested by that concept that, maybe, we tell ourselves all the time, I want to lose this weight, I want to do this, I want to do that. But we have these fears of, oh, well, if I do this, what if I get too pretty and I start looking at other people? Or what if I get, I don't know. What if my husband loses? I don't want my husband to lose weight, because what if he loses weight and then other people find him attractive and then like I have to compete? There's always this weird like.
It's all kinds of. I mean, there's so much of this is about what's going on in your mind, whether that is negative self-talk or truthfully for me too. When I started to become active, my husband had become active again. For the first time in a long time. And that kind of changed. That probably accelerated my trajectory. I was like, well, my secret competitive self came out and I was like, I'm not going to be left behind. Like, so, a lot of this has to do with mind stuff. Right. And I'm a woman. I mostly have women clients and there's a lot of crying. And if there wasn't a lot of crying, like, then I would tell me that, yeah, sure, it is all about what I eat. I'm supposed to tell you what to eat, and I'm supposed to tell you how to exercise and whatever. But a lot of this is just walking people's journeys with them. And that journey might include, like, bad shit that happened in their past or, the way that they talk to themselves in their mind, and they tell you how that is. And it's, you hold space for them. Massage therapists are really good at like holding space. And I know a lot of massage therapists, and that's kind of what I try to do with my clients as well, if that happens.
Okay.
So,
I just, I don't know. I've really enjoyed where we've gone, with it. Cause I do wonder, what I guess my mental hurdle was, I didn't think I was where I was, that like it, I don't know, I guess I had such a
snuck
high,
up on you.
Yeah, I had such this high perception of who I was and where I was at that it didn't, I don't know. I now I want to go back and sort of think about where that was for me. But back to you. What was, so on this journey, and as you said, it was sort of more a mental and emotional journey for you until you realized like, okay, no, I've got to do something physically. And maybe the first step wasn't the hardest, but what was the hardest, or what did you really struggle with over those 10 years? That maybe you look back on now and you're sort of like, I'm kind of glad I went through that. Like it's, or I would have never moved on.
I think the hardest part for me was feeling like a failure when I felt so much success in all the other parts of my life. My career was good. My marriage was good. My life's pretty simple. Like, I'm a good daughter. I don't know. Yeah, like, and everything that I did was was good, but this was just an area in which I failed and failed and failed again. And activity for me, because it was always in my life, was never hard. Like, I was an overweight person who worked out at the gym. Like, there was a time when I did 2-a-days, at like 50, 60 pounds overweight, well above 200 pounds. And that's, I just couldn't get it. Like, I didn't get what was going on. And, I'd lose a little bit of weight. But really and I just wrote a blog post about this, but really what made the difference the 2 times because I really lost it in 2 chunks. I lost the first 25 pounds and then kind of hung out there for a year or so and then lost the last 35. But both times took the intervention of other people. And people who were like, come on, let's do this together, or like, let's get together to make that difference, to actually tip the proverbial scale and, make it happen. And it actually came in results, or I had results.
So having a community was important for you because it gave you were there for a year. You're stuck at one area. You're stuck. You're not losing weight, and then someone sort of inspires you and pushes you. How do you, as a coach, online or offline, how do you continue that community push, since that was sort of an important part for you to continue your process and get that next weight goal down?
Yeah. In person, I realized early on that it's all well and good and probably really profitable to do one-to-one personal training. But what I started to do as I got busier was starting hooking people up together who I thought were a good fit. That it totally started happening by accident. I ran my first, oh my gosh, I ran this thing called the weight loss challenge, right? Which, okay, now I would never run that, but it's fine at the time. And all these ladies kind of got together, and a lot of them were already my clients, and they just wanted to come do this thing and at the gym on Tuesday nights. And then they started meeting other ladies, and then those ladies wanted to become my clients. And I'm like, well, I have too many clients. What do I do? So I started putting them in groups. And they loved it. And then they were, way more compliant. They weren't way more compliant. They were always pretty compliant as it was. But with showing up in terms of attendance. But they started forming friendships. I had one client who had moved here and worked at home and didn't have a single friend. She goes, "You're my only friend besides my hairdresser." And I would always laugh. But then she started having friends, and that was awesome. And it kept her going. It kept her working out. And so I started pairing up. I pair up everybody wherever I can. And then online, I really try and stay away from individual coaching. I much prefer a group setting for coaching online because I think people get so much more out of it than they do just from talking to me every day or every other, whenever, once a week or something like that.
So when you do, group coaching online, are they in a private forum, or are they on Facebook? How do you coach that, online? And when in a group, have you found that, you do a little coaching, but that a lot of your other clients sort of do, they sort of pick up and assist as well?
It's both. I think, I do private Facebook group coaching, and it's really both. Sometimes what's great about it is that someone will post a question, and it's really probably a question that 3 other people had. So it's super beneficial, but right. Those people, they don't, sometimes, when you're busy, you don't think about a question. And then when someone asks a question, you're like, oh, I totally had that question. And that's exactly how it is there. I ask a lot of questions of the group, and then obviously do check-ins with them as well. So sometimes things come up from what I ask, but yes, definitely I always say to people, I'm not the only expert in this group. You guys have all lived nice, long lives with lots of experience besides me. So feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I think it's learning from others is valuable which is one thing. No, I'm very thankful that I've met so many people in the industry over the last year that I've learned a lot from, especially with you and like the Motivate Forum, and learning a lot about motivation and habits and mindset, because that's, my wife accuses me. I guess accuse might not be the right word, but she likes to say that, it's so easy for you.
Suggest is the word you're looking for.
She's like, you just decide to do something and you do it. Like there's no, you just wake up one day and you're like, I'm going to grow alfalfa plants, and you just grow alfalfa plants. Like whatever you want to do, you just do it. Like you don't really, like there's no like week-long discussion or debate in your mind. You just start it, you do it, and then you're basically perfect at it. And I'm like, no, I'm not, but thank you. So it's been really valuable for me as a coach to learn those aspects. So speaking of habits, along your journey, or maybe even now, what is like the one habit that's just really hard for you to nail down?
You mean eating wise or like life wise?
Anything. Listen, my goal with the podcast this year, and I'm trying, is to get more than just fitness people on. Life is more than fitness.
No.
No, it is. It is.
Yes, totally.
But I think the experiences that any guest has, like Susan, we're about to talk about the things we chatted before we got on, and like technology here in just a second. So, but that's the thing, is that like, it can be strictly all fitness, and though I do enjoy lifting weights and talking about all that stuff, there's so many other aspects of life. So people may have stories that we hear, and next thing we know, we're like, oh, well, I guess that thing I wanted to do, I should go do, and it had nothing to do with working out.
Yeah. And that's been the great thing about habits is that, I apply them to so many other aspects of my life. And I'm working on a post right now about how I built my free Facebook community and how I used habits to kind of get me to a point where that became a very natural process. So, the habit that I definitely struggle with the most, that's probably just health related, we'll say, because it's not an eating habit, but it's definitely impacts my health, is, I am not consistent with my sleep routine, with developing a sleep routine. And so, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, I need to get 7 hours of sleep at night. Right. But like, as Coach Steve-O from Habitry will tell you, or anybody, any of those guys, they'll say, okay, well, you can't control the outcome, right? You can only control the process. So I'm like, oh, right, I got to develop a sleep routine. And it just is, I'm always like trying to fit one more thing in, or I want to like, the house has been crazy and now it's quiet and I just want to like chill and, like scroll through my phone one more time. But, so that's been my biggest challenge.
Oh, I like that you say that you want to sleep for 7 hours, so you go to bed at 10 o'clock thinking you're going to fall asleep at 10 o'clock. You don't.
No.
But giving yourself that time to sort of gear down your brain and get ready for sleep is important. But I like that, the routine. I think my routine is brush my teeth, get in the bed, and go to sleep. That's basically. Oh, and I keep everything. I got black it out. Whole room has to be black. Fan has to be on, because it's just cold black rooms, man. Knocked out, done, cold.
I got to shut all my electronics down an hour before I go to bed.
Well, I'm really bad about doing that, but I do have one. I do have one rule, which has been tweaked a little. I can never make a rule with my wife. I love her because she'll find a way to like sneak something in, and I'm like, all right, fine. But there are no phones allowed in the bedroom. The bedroom is for two things: sleeping,
right? Yep.
And giggity. That's it. Like, there's no phone, there's no Facebooking, there's no TV, there's no video games. It's for two things, and two things only. That's it. Establish that rule, and your sleep gets better. And then the second part of the bedroom gets even better. Yeah. Anyways, now that everyone's like, oh, God.
Now
Robbie,
we're getting schooled by Robbie.
No. There's no schooling. I'm a bumbling idiot who just got very, very lucky with an awesome woman. The end.
Well, yeah.
The end. All right, so I do want to. I told you I wanted to bring this up. So before we came on, what you were laughing about is I was talking about coming off this winter bulk I was on, eating 600 grams of carbs, and you're like, I don't understand that language. So I gotta ask, what part of like fitnessy language do you just like throw your hands up at, and you're like, I don't get this. What?
I actually didn't really think about bulking until the fall when you guys started talking about bulking season. And, I mean, I knew about bulking and I knew that people did it. It's just not something usually that a lot of women do.
Yeah.
Certainly not my clients. That's not really what they come for. That's not at all what they come for, actually. And gosh, things about fitness I didn't know. I don't know. I have a coach that I work with here, and she is a national record record holder for powerlifting, and she holds the American record in the squat at 165 pounds. And so learning all that stuff from her has been funky, because I'm like, wow, I'd never do that. She's like, so I have these like blood vessels that burst in my neck, and I got like, and I'm like, no.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, everyone has their, I don't probably understand. I don't, there are many things you could probably put me in a physiological class and talk about this and that. And like, I love reading Eric Cressy, but sometimes I'm like, I got to go read science books. I need to take an anatomy class. I'm like, I'm pretty bad about that language sometimes. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead. No, I got kind of thrust into the anatomy world by a friend who, I've taken this class called neurokinetic therapy. And I got kind of thrust into that.
Even that name to me, I'm like, what does that even? That doesn't make any sense. What?
It's a fantastic system, but it is not for the anatomy faint of heart, for sure. So I learned how much very quickly within the beginning of that class. I learned how very, very low I was on the totem pole of knowing about how the body moves and how it works, and why things don't work or why things hurt. So what's fortunate for me is that I have close access to my mentor. He's here in that, but I have kind of access to a worldwide network of people who are very, very, very smart in that kind of stuff. So not all trainers or anything like that, physical therapists, massage therapists, chiropractors, but it's pretty cool. But yes, I learned how much I didn't know.
That's I'm waiting for my time to start reading, and I'm debating about my next certification, and whether I want to do. I really just want CSCS. I just want to be like, hey, I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist.
You got to be able to say it right.
Can't go out for it because I can't even say it right. Or doing CPT, certified personal trainer, which is I think the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So I'm debating like where I want to go next, or stay with who I have now. And I'm like, oh man, there's so much like I'm waiting for like all those things. I'm like, I know nothing, Jon Snow. I know nothing. All right, let's get into some fun questions, and then we'll come back and we'll keep talking shop and whatnot. All right. If you could go anywhere in a time machine, where would you go?
I don't know. I'd probably go back to, I don't know. I have no idea.
Anywhere in a time machine.
I'd probably actually like to go back to, my parents lived in Rio de Janeiro in the 60s, and I would totally want to see what their life was like, because I completely don't believe them, other than they have photographic evidence. So that's 1960s Rio would definitely be it.
Explain 1960s Rio.
It just seemed like it was so glamorous. Like, it was like, my mom was like wearing all these like amazing outfits, and it seemed like it was like carnival every day, but it probably wasn't. And they had like a squash club and a tennis club and a maid and all these other things, but like they were just in their late 20s, early 30s, and they lived like this like glamorous life. I don't know. Maybe it just seems glamorous from the pictures, but they went skiing on the weekends in Argentina and things like that. So
man, that sounds really glamorous. Like, we're in Rio, and then we're going to fly to, like, Argentina and go ski.
I'm sure that cost, like, nothing back then, but it seemed like it was really cool, like, living high.
I'm not going to lie, I now kind of want to go see what that's like. So let's find a time machine, Susan, and let's go back to 1960 Rio de Janeiro. I am down with that. All right, if you could be any animal on a carousel, what animal would you be and why?
Easy. Well, a horse. Horses are awesome, and also a little bit scary to me personally, because I've fallen off more than one. But they're just so powerful looking.
Yeah.
And yeah.
A horse. All right. How many times?
So boring.
Do you know how many times you've fallen off a horse?
Twice. Yeah.
What is like? I just want to know how, like, off the side where you bucked. No, because I've ridden horses, but I guess like thinking about how that happens, I'm sort of like, oh man, like I don't know. I'm sure it's a pretty terrifying experience.
Coming forward out of a horse, so flying in front of the horse once, and then the saddle slipped and I went sideways on the horse in the saddle, and then almost like there was a pine tree like coming at me while I was sideways, and so yeah, I fell off.
I thought you were going to say that you like were about to go like up underneath, and then you just decided to like let go of the horse. I'm like, good decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you like they're depending on. I mean, they're a powerful animal. I can't imagine. Getting thrown off and going 30 feet, coming off a horse. I mean, it's.
I don't think I went 30 feet. I went about maybe 3 feet.
When you fell off the front, like, did he just like stop?
More of a plop. Yeah. I was young. It was probably like 11 or 12.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
How many days have you gone without showering? Like the longest you've ever like not showered?
I'm gonna say 5.
Were you in 1960s Rio de Janeiro?
No, I was in 1990s Canada.
Oh my God, what was 1990s Canada like?
No, I'm just kidding. We were on a backpacking trip, and when we came out, it was gross. Oh. And we had like, yeah.
Yeah, there's always stories of like people who've been on the Appalachian Trail for like 2 weeks, and there's like they haven't had a shower in 2 weeks, and they walk into some of those places that are along the restways where they can pick up supplies, and people are just like, it's some of the like dirtiest people you've ever seen.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm not really down with that, but
all right, if you could write a note to your younger self, what would you say in only 2 words?
You're awesome.
Does that count as 2 words?
Yeah, it's a contraction. It's 1 word.
I'm just, 2 words made into 1 word.
Wait, I'm a licensed English teacher, so I'm gonna veto your potential.
Well then I okay, all right. Then I will send my articles to you for proofing from now on, English teacher.
No, that's okay.
It's okay. I get paid to write, and I made a D in English in college. Yeah. Honestly, when I think back about it, I'm like, I don't really know how I made the D. I think I just didn't care because I didn't like that teacher, and I was like, whatever. I can have one D. I can have one D on my record, whatever. It's also spring semester, which ends up being, yeah, you just want summer to be there, and yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
that was water polo season too. Was always spring, so my grades were never as good.
Okay, so water polo. Are you? Nope. So I guess
it's not with horses.
No, I know it's not with horses. I'm not going to ask that dumb question, even though mentally I immediately was like, a horse with a snorkel would be a really funny thing to like put in water, but no, because that would be animal cruelty. But you could laugh at it at a Family Guy episode. No, so why water polo? Like what brought you? I know you said you were a little bigger, so it made sense to be in that. But what brought you to that?
I swam. Like I grew up competitively swimming, and when I got to high school, they offered water polo was like a up and coming high school sport.
Where was this high school?
In Chicago area.
Oh, okay.
So Illinois. Yeah. So, Chicago has a pretty solid water polo foundation and, in terms of adult clubs and things like that. And I played in high school, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and I was so done with swimming by the time I got done with senior year that I was like, yeah, I'll play water polo in college. That sounds good. It's way more fun. Obviously, swimming it's a lot of training. It's a lot of dedication. And, obviously water polo is a game. I'm actually not really good at ball sports, but I am really good at swimming fast. And apparently I was pretty good at like making sure that people didn't use, at being defensive. We'll just leave it at that.
You were really good at slapping people in the head with a stick.
Not with the stick, but yes, other kinds of things. Everything in water polo happens under the water, so you can't necessarily see it, but you have to be good at wrapping your legs around somebody and drowning them with your legs. So,
Susan, I had such high thoughts of you before, but now knowing that in college you enjoyed wrapping your legs around people to drown them, how is that sport?
Well, that'd be like a coup d'etat move. Like that'd be like the best you could do. A lot of times it's just grabbing, punching, kicking, that kind of stuff.
Fight Club in water?
It's a fairly aggressive sport, yeah.
Interesting. I might have to go do a little more research. Like I've never watched water polo. I've only ever heard of it. I may have to go check this out.
Well, the United States only won the women's gold medal in it last go round, so you might be able to find some YouTube coverage of it. I don't know though.
Oh well, I mean, with the likes of you running around in college and being physical and trying to drown people, I can only imagine that America is only the most awesome at wrestling underwater, essentially.
I've made it sound a whole lot worse than it is.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm now I fear for these people's lives. Is this what's going on? What is this sport?
You should go check it out.
I'm going to go look at it now, though I will be slightly sad that it does not involve horses in the water.
That would be cooler.
Or that it's not a sport played with pool noodles. Because let's be honest, that would be awesome.
I think if you played like inner club, like inner tube water polo, I think you were allowed to use.
I'm sorry, wait, inner tube water polo?
Yeah.
How many variations of this sport is there? Is there kiddie pool water polo?
Like rec sports in college, like broom ball and stuff like that, right? Did you have those?
I mean, we had rec sports, but we had the kickball, basketball.
Sure. And there was inner tube water polo.
We did not have inner tube water polo. Now I'm really
So
mad
you
about
sat in an inner tube, so that was much safer. It took all the violence out of it. Then you basically just tried to score on each other while also swimming dramatically in an inner tube.
mean, there were plenty of people trying to score on others in college, but not in the inner tube and not in the water. But, well, maybe in the water. There probably were some instances of that. I was never part of that, ever. We did have a slip and slide, though. And we used to bring it out on Sundays, Sunday slip and slide day.
That was a rec sport.
Listen, now I'm sad that we didn't have inner tube water polo or, whatever other crazy sports that our college could have had in the water, because that would have been awesome.
Just saying. Get more people in bathing suits,
Are you going to start an adult league? Do you want to get it back up, get it back on track?
No. I have my adult sports. I'm all good.
What are your adult sports?
I do a fair amount of open water swimming and triathlon, or mostly. Well, and I like to lift weights too, right. But I don't compete in that or anything.
So triathlons, what sort of, because you know me, I'm a barbell guy, I'm a dumbbell guy, occasionally kettlebells, some body weight. I don't really get down with the running thing unless it's sprinting.
Sure.
But
I saw your post the other day on that.
Yeah, I love sprints and this bulk, man. I felt like I got faster. Who knew that I could add 6 inches to my booty and get faster? But it's pretty awesome.
Who knew you measured your booty?
Well, yes, because data. You got to measure your waist, your hips, your thighs, your biceps, your chest.
I don't know. I'm not a details person by nature, so data and the need for data very much escapes me, and that makes me a terrible personal trainer. Probably.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. But it's good to know, because then you've made some success.
I do data with my clients. I'm not saying I don't. That's not what I'm saying. I just didn't know Robbie had added 6 inches to his booty this winter.
Well, I do what I can.
That's big.
Yeah. Well, since June, I've added that much, which even I was surprised, but that's what the tape said. So I'm like, all right, these hip thrusts have been working.
Yeah, so here's the difference between you and me. My booty looks way better than June too, but I'm just I look in the mirror and I'm like, dang, my booty looks good. Versus I know how many inches bigger my booty is, or smaller, or whatever.
It looks really good too, okay? It looks really good. Gosh, Susan.
I'm sure it looks great.
No one cares but me.
I have different points of measurement. I'll put on a pair of leggings and be like, now these leggings look better.
Please don't tell me you have jeggings.
Of course I do. Everybody has. No, I don't have jeggings. I don't know. Thank
goodness. All right, so before we close out, I do want you to talk a little about triathlons, because I know that's something you do and something you coach people through. What is one uncommon thing people assume about triathlons that they assume incorrectly?
That you have to know how to run before you do one. They assume that you have to know how to run, but they don't think about the swim part. Whereas it's probably pretty important that you know how to swim, and not as important as you run, because you can always walk, but you can't drown.
You know what? That's yeah. A muscle cramp while running. Slow down, walk it out. Muscle cramp while swimming. Problem. All right, so you swim, you bike, and you run. What has been your biggest, I'm going to assume you were naturally good at swimming. After being a swimmer.
That's actually a problem. Yeah.
So what was it biking or was it running that became your biggest issue?
It's always a toss up. They kind of compete neck and neck. I think I love biking more, but I don't know if I'm not naturally built for it, or I'm just not very good at it. Because I feel like I've done as many kinds of the right training that I can, and it's definitely my weak spot.
How have you, I know you do a little strength training. How do you supplement that? How do you train that in with I mean, unless you're training for a triathlon, I'm assuming you're running a little bit, maybe swimming, mostly keeping up with the swimming since that's the most important. We don't want to drown. But like, how do you?
I don't have to worry about that. I'm just saying other people have to worry about that.
How do you strength train around that as well?
So while I did, I've done lots of different things, but now I keep strength training in all year round because as especially for women and especially once you get over 40, that's an essential thing that you've got to keep the strength training in your training cycle. So, and that's what I advocate for my athletes too. So what I do is I basically strength train, I don't know, like 3 times a week. I spend time on, and I'll give a shout out to Mitch, who's a friend of ours. He's helped me a little bit with kind of coming up with a program for me personally, but we definitely take time around, squat, deadlift, and I've been bench pressing through the winter, but I like overhead press is really going to take over here at some point. And then I kind of just add, is that what you were looking for? I'm not sure what the question was.
No, just getting a general sense of how you strength train. Cause I know for a lot of runners, it's pain can show up over time, usually due to, weaker glutes, and sort of in the hip area, just because they don't do a lot. They run all the time. And they get knee pain, you get ankle pain, you get all of that. So keeping the glutes strong, through squatting, deadlifting, and all of that is important.
And even I tell people if they don't want a barbell train or something like that, kettlebells, like kettlebell swings, because of that, the hinge and the kind of explosive nature of them is so great for conditioning and strength for endurance athletes.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't want to do a bunch of squats and stuff, kettlebell swings can build that posterior chain really quick. Because the unfortunate thing about many places is you've probably got like a 10-pound kettlebell, and then you got like a 15, and then you got a 25, and then you got a 35. There's not a whole lot of in between.
Sure.
So you're gonna get stronger quicker when you move from a 25 to a 35 and start swinging with it. But cool. Well, Susan, I've enjoyed having you on, getting to know more about the sport of water polo. Though
so many things.
Talking about mindset and sort of your story and thinking about maybe you're just not ready. Maybe someone's not ready to make that choice to get. They want to get healthy. They want to get fit. They want to be better. But maybe there's just too many things, and right now they need to go on a soul searching journey before they can get there. So I've really enjoyed chatting. If people want to know more about you, where can they find you on social media or online?
Oh gosh, remember I'm old. I don't know if I have a lot of social media outlets. People can find me online. My company is called So Fit Wellness, and so it's SoFitWellness.com, Facebook, Twitter, SoFit Wellness, SoFit Susan on Snapchat, and that's pretty much it. I kind of dabble in Instagram, but let's not really go there.
Well, I was going to ask about Snapchat because a lot of people now are like, I don't get it. I'm still trying to figure it out. Which, by the way, guys, if you're listening and you have any questions about health and fitness, reach out to me on Snapchat. Just search @Robbie Farlow. And I want to snap. I want to talk to more people. I want to answer questions, but Snapchat has been a slow slog for me. We're not all Mike Vacanti over here. Mike. I'm gonna. Yeah. Anyways. Well, Susan, I've enjoyed having you on. Guys, for everything we've talked about, books, anything else, you can get links to all of that and articles as well in the show notes, www.sidequestfitness.com. /podcast. Scroll down, find Susan's episode, and you can get all the show notes for everything we talked about here, as well as links to SoFit Wellness on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. I'll even throw up an Instagram one since she dabbles with it, as well as her website if you want to reach out as well. So, Susan, thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Thanks, Robbie.
Hey guys, thank you again for listening to the podcast. If you're enjoying the episodes of SideQuest Podcast, please head over to iTunes and leave a review. Let me know what you think of the show. It really helps us move up the charts, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it.